The slab is poured. The steel is standing. To the owner and the architect, the project looks like it's ahead of schedule. When they walk the site, they see the progress. They see the building taking shape. But from my desk, looking at my monitor, I know the truth. We are already 3 weeks late. Most project managers focus on the physical progress they see on site, but the real project killer is usually hidden in your inbox. It's a failure to coordinate procurement long before the material is needed on site. Today, I am teaching you how to stop just reacting to your inbox and start acting like a strategist by using a formula to prevent a crisis before it even starts. We are going to find hidden delays that sink a project and how to secure your schedule from your office. I remember a project where we were getting exterior guardrails and windscreens from overseas. We got a great deal on the price, but we started tracking the procurement too late. We treated it as a minor scope because the dollar value wasn't huge. Suddenly, I was on weekly calls with the supplier and the manufacturer trying to get updates on the shipping status. We had uncontrollable factors like port delays and new tariffs being applied while the boat was already on the water. One morning, the shipping company told us that the cost to release the materials had doubled because of a new trade policy. The worst part wasn't the cost. It was the fact that the site was prepped, the crew was ready, but the work was just sitting there at a standstill, waiting for the materials that were stuck on the container ship. The owner was asking for updates every week. Every time I had to say, "We are still waiting," my authority as a leader took a hit. In that season of my career, I thought my job was just to process documents. I would sit at a desk, and I was constantly in a state of reaction. At that point, I wasn't even using a task manager. I didn't have a system for capturing inputs or managing my day, and I was always looking for a better way to handle the pressure. Everything was an email, and I spent my time reacting to whatever was at the top of the list. I realized that clicking a button is not the same as coordinating a project. If you are just a pass-through for information, you are a liability to the project. The temptation when you are overwhelmed is to treat a submittal as just another item to be cleared. You wait for the subcontractor to send the shop drawings, you send them to the architect, you wait for approval. In that moment, you are being reactive. The problem is that the project schedule doesn't care about your inbox. It cares about the factory lead time. It cares about the shipping container stuck at port 3,000 miles away. You have to realize that subcontractors and consultants often miss the details in the comments. If you aren't in the middle of every submittal and RFI, reviewing every requirement, those issues are going to be missed in the field. When you stop just processing emails and start coordinating the flow of information, you become a safety net for the entire project. You ensure the project engineers and the superintendents are aware of the risk before the material even ships. Real authority comes from knowing the truth before the site needs it. You have to calculate the date you need to release an order for every long lead item on your job. To find the date you need to release an order, you take the date you need the material on site and subtract the total lead time. This includes shipping, fabrication, and the review cycles. When you lead through coordination, you account for those uncontrollable factors. You don't just add a 2-week buffer for shipping. You look at the global logistics. You ask, is this coming from overseas? What is the port situation? Is there a tariff risk? If material is coming across an ocean, you should account for a buffer of at least 20% over the manufacturer's lead time to handle the static of global shipping. I also have another rule for this. Don't trust the salesperson. Ask the factory for a production schedule. A quote is an estimate, but a production slot is a commitment. If your order by date was yesterday, and you haven't received shop drawings yet, you are in a crisis. You can scream at the subcontractor all you want, but you cannot scream at a factory into moving faster. You failed to coordinate the critical path from your office. I'm curious to know what the silent killer is on your project site. Is there a long lead item that's keeping you up at night? Or have you ever dealt with a container ship delay that completely stalled your site? I'd love to hear those stories in the comments so we can look at how different companies navigate these global logistics. This isn't just about project margins. When your coordination system breaks down, a high price is paid. The project budget takes a hit from air freight costs and storage fees, the schedule slips, which impacts every trade, and the subcontractors lose money on lost productivity. But there is also a personal cost. I remember a project where our windows were coming from overseas. Because of the time zone difference, my team and I had to be available early in the mornings and late in the evenings to keep the process moving. I was taking calls from the manufacturer and responding to WhatsApp messages after hours to keep the critical information moving forward. It's difficult to be present with your friends and family when you are checking your phone at family gatherings because a manufacturing detail wasn't cleared up 3 months ago. You are physically there, but your mind is on a shipping port in another country. The static of broken coordination follows you home. It ruins your evening. It keeps you from being the husband or father that you want to be. When you master your log, you aren't just protecting your schedule, you're protecting your home base. I want to know that when I head home to my family on a Friday, the gear is ordered and the critical path is secure. Order in the office creates peace at home. I lead this way because I believe in the discipline of preparation. My faith is the foundation for how I handle these projects. There's a proverb that says, prepare your work outside, get everything ready for yourself in the field, and after that, build your house. In a modern context, this means sitting down at your desk and getting everything ready before the crew arrives. It means calculating the cost of lead times and making sure the materials are coordinated before you start the work. If you don't do the work in the office first, the house cannot be built with order in the field. Being a leader in construction means you have the discipline to do the hard work of coordination early. You absorb the complexity of the global supply chain so your field crew has clarity. You just need to be the most prepared. When you show up with a coordination tracker that is 3 months ahead of the field, the crew respects you, the owner trusts you, and you can sleep at night. If you are constantly chasing materials, you are missing a coordination system. If you want to move from being a reactive manager to a project strategist, you need to start with the fundamentals of project order. I want you to perform a 5-minute audit today. Find your 3 longest lead items. Take the need to site date for those items and subtract the total lead time to find your real order date. If those dates are in the past, get on the phone now. If you want to see how this office coordination actually builds your authority in the field, watch my previous video on how to lead subcontractors who have more experience than you do. Secure your project's future today so you can be fully present with your family tonight. We build for order. I will see you on the next one.